Welcome to Her Life Unscripted podcast, inspiring burnt out, stressed out, and stretched thin women to embrace the unscriptedness of life. Hosted by Anna Osborne.
Hello, lovely ladies, and welcome to Her Life Unscripted, episode 52. This is your host, Anna Osborne, and I am excited to be here with all of you guys today. I am having so much fun with this April series of Why Women Rock, and I'm just really enjoying the women that I'm getting to know through the process, and also being able to really explore this idea of, building each other up and being our biggest supporters, our biggest cheerleaders from women to women. I think historically, we unfortunately have had the reputation of women being each other's worst enemies. And I just love this idea of being able to spend time with other really amazing women doing amazing things in their community and really just highlighting all these characteristics that we as women hold and just celebrating us and all that we bring to the world. So I'm excited to be able to just continue this series on. And also, as you know, Mari and I have released all the fantastic details about our Shine Retreat in the fall. And it almost feels like this month just coincidentally is highlighting the importance of that retreat. If we really look at why women rock, we also have to ask the questions of, how women have been hurt and how they've been hurt by each other. And I think it's so important to have those female friendships, and knowing also that a huge part of the reason that Mari and I planned the Shine Retreat for women was really to create this conversation and this community of women being able to just encourage one another and celebrate our differences and our diversity and the common thread that binds us together, and really as a way to all encourage us to rise up together. So you're welcome to check out details at www.shineretreatforwomen.com. And of course, I'll include those links in the show notes. But it is really exciting to having all of those information out in the world, and also nerve-wracking, because it's so funny whenever you launch something, whether it's something that you are just wanting to share with the world or something that people are having to pay to attend. It doesn't matter what it is, but anytime you share part of yourself with the world, it's this very vulnerable process of, I've created this and it's meaningful to me. And Mari and I have created, obviously, the retreat, and it's meaningful to us. And will other people see the value of it and see the meaningfulness and where our hearts are at? And it's just been really, really awesome to see people embracing it and signing up, and knowing that I get to meet so many of you live in person in September. So thank you so much for those of you that have signed up. And for those of you that are on the fence, I really encourage you to sign up while we still have slots open. We are keeping the group very small and very intimate in order to really have it be this restorative, connective, just fun time together. So please join us. And like I said, check out the details at Shine Retreat for Women. But the reason we are here today is because we are talking about why women rock, and I have an amazing guest coming on the podcast today. Pam Drzewiecki is on our podcast today, and it is just a fun interview. She's talking all about women as leaders and the tools that they have that make them amazing leaders, and that being just something that women just rock about. And I just couldn't be more excited to share with all of you about Pam. So Pam she's amazing. Obviously, I think so. I've had the pleasure of getting to know her a bit. But what is so powerful about her and her journey is that it is one that she's been on for obviously her life. But she started her business career in the insurance industry in 1987 as a pool secretary, and moved through the ranks to becoming the chief operating officer and director of marketing for one of the most successful practices and wealth management advisors in the company. They've had over $1 billion of insurance in force and ranked in the top 40 in the history of the company. And she, even though she was successful and just rising to the top, going through the ranks, she felt a calling to do more. And so through her own life journey and the life experiences that she's been through, she really wanted to create a business where women were nurtured and that had a place to build their professional and their personal dreams. And so she is a business and life coach for professional women and female entrepreneurs, and she started the business Powerful Purpose. And you will get to hear not only about her own personal journey, but just this way that she has with connecting with women leaders and really truly why women are exceptional leaders. We talk about the cringe factor that what that happens for a lot of people when they think about being a leader, especially a woman. We know historically, even in present day, that women leaders are more highly criticized, more highly judged than their male counterparts. And so being able to have a very, very dynamic conversation about the reality of that and how women can own their power by being a feminine leader and what that actually means. I love that our conversation went there because I think, well, I don't want to give too much away, but just being able to really hear the conversation and how it goes about women being leaders by being themselves and what that really means. So I am so excited to introduce you to Pam Drzewiecki, and you're going to enjoy your time with her today. And I will meet with you guys at the end of the interview just to kind of reflect on what my takeaways were. And obviously I want to hear your guys' takeaways too. So without further ado, Pam Drzewiecki. All right. I am so excited to have Pam Drzewiecki on the podcast today. We are just diving into a really exciting topic and one that I know both Pam and myself are passionate about. So I want to introduce and welcome you to the podcast, Pam.
Hi, Anna. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm so excited for us to be slowing down together today and getting to know each other a little bit more and really introducing you to my audience. Before we started recording today, I did kind of a more formal introduction about kind of where you are with your work and kind of the things that you do. But is there anything else that you want to share with the audience in terms of just a little bit about you and kind of your work, but in your own words?
Sure, I would love to. So I help professional women and female entrepreneurs transform their lives and their businesses. And basically we work around, time management, work-life balance, goal achievement techniques. And we just really dive in deep into what they're looking for and what their desired outcome is. So when we work together, that's what we do. Someone may, a coaching client may come to me because they want me to develop their business. And in turn, while we're working on their business, we find that there's things in their lives that have to be addressed at the same time. So we work on that together.
I think that's such a interesting thing about, coaching work and therapy work and things like that is somebody comes to us for help with problem A or issue A or obstacle A, and it ends up being this really just kind of journey that winds and twists and turns, really finding what the root of it is, which may look like, issue C or problem X or whatever it is. And so it's neat that you've got the ability to really kind of go on that path with women and being able to really, really go where it needs to go in order to really resolve and create the most success for them.
Yeah, I really love doing that. I love helping with, their self-discovery and opening it up for them they may think about things that might not even be pertinent, but all of a sudden, as you work together, it finds out that there are definitely areas that they want to achieve greater success in. Yeah. So that's what we work on.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, as you know, I do monthly themes on the podcast, and this month's theme is all about why women rock. And, I kind of gave my disclaimer at the beginning of this month saying that I believe everybody rocks. But in the interest of this being her life unscripted, I really want to spend the month talking with people who work specifically with women and kind of exploring why they rock. And so one of the things that you have such expertise in is women in leadership. And I believe that's something that women are they don't step into their roles of leadership, but they really, really are amazing leaders when they kind of uncover that hidden gift that they have. And so when you think of women leaders, or you think about women owning themselves as leaders, how does that weave in with the work you do, and what kind of comes to mind for you?
Well, I really think women make really great leaders. And the reason, one of their main characteristics of a phenomenal women leader is their resilience, right? Being resilient to be able to handle whatever comes their way. In my own journey, going through different chapters in my life, every single place in time that I had an experience, it ended up being very beneficial to me now as working with women in leaders, because we're resilient. We bounce back, right? We have the ability to work through different areas. And with that being said, being boundary setters are really, really important too. We have some time, we have a little difficulty around setting boundaries, but once we really hone in on what our desired outcome is, we're right on.
Yeah.
So I really think that us being resilient and boundary setters are very important with the leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, backing up a little bit, I think that when women are identified as leaders, there is tremendous negativity and criticism that can come, right? That a woman leader comes with, she's opinionated, she's bossy, and lots of cruel criticisms. And so I think that that is a necessary part of the conversation, that as we're talking about this and people are listening, they may hear us talking about women being amazing leaders and stepping into that role of leadership and cringe a little bit because they've either gotten messages when they've tried to step into leadership roles, or they've seen people around them really be, kind of raked through the coals for being a leader, for having an opinion, for having a voice, for speaking and standing up. And so what are your thoughts on that in terms of, have you moved through the negativity or found ways to rise above that, stepping into your own leadership roles?
Oh, absolutely. Like I'm coming off of a career of 28 years in the insurance industry, right? As you had said before. And I rose from, a pool secretary to the chief operating officer of this insurance practice. And through that process, that's part of the reason why I hired my own coach to help me rebrand. So people could see me more as a leader within our team. Because a lot of times, if we're too kind, it shows a sign of weakness, right? When that's not the case at all. I mean, we can be strong women and act like ladies at the same time. And that's so important. But a lot of times, if we're being too strong, we come off as a B in the office. And then we're unapproachable. And that's not where we want to be. So going back to being resilient is so, and being able to take a step back and look at yourself and say, you know what, you are on the right track. You are being strong. You're just as good as the man next to you. And we offer intuition, and that, having that inner voice helps us guide us in being great leaders too.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me think of the experiment they've done, the resume experiment they've done over and over with, Alex versus Alexandria, where they've got, the exact same resume, and everybody reads Alex's resume and they think he's a great boss and they'd love to work with him. He seems really inspiring and motivating. And then they read Alexandria's, which is a carbon copy of the same resume, and yet it's a female name, and they read it and they go, she kind of looks a little bitchy. She kind of looks like she doesn't take feedback well. She's not open to other people's ideas. And it's because she's portrayed as a strong woman. And so I think that, that idea of being well-liked or being seen as kind and approachable, we don't realize that is part of being a leader, right? That being approachable and having the interest of the team as the common interest is actually what makes great leaders. And that can be said with boundaries and assertive communication. And that, like you said, being able to take that step back and realize, wait a second, these criticisms are about everybody else's, discomfort with me, not the path that I'm on. This is the right path.
Exactly. Remembering that, that's their story that they're making up about us, right? That's not your own story. You're designing your own story, and that is to be the best leader that you can. And having all the traits that a woman has to offer, between being maternal around their team and wanting to give back. That was one of my strongest things that I always gave back to my team, is rewarding them for their wins and their successes, and letting them know what a great job that they were doing. And those aren't traits of a weak leader. I think those are traits of a strong leader, giving back and allowing them to take ownership on the success of the team and not taking it all on yourself. So that really helps. And I think being able to toot your own horn, right? Bragging rights.
Yeah.
And it comes off sometimes as selfish. So it really keeps on going back to being resilient and keep keeping strong in your own story of who you are makes a great leader.
Yeah, it's so true. So do you mind sharing a little bit about, because I think that you're so spot on talking about resiliency as being just a core characteristic of women and so connected with them being strong leaders. And so do you mind sharing just a little bit about kind of why resiliency is so important to you personally?
Absolutely. I was married at a younger age in my early 20s, and unfortunately, my husband at the time became disabled, and through the years, he became addicted to the pain pills and became an addict. So living with an addict for 16 years really gave me a chance to focus on what I needed to focus on to be strong and to be resilient and to keep on bouncing back from different setbacks in our life. And every time I got stronger, it just proved to be a better step forward, right? So as it was going on and everything was happening, and living with an addict really did build that resilient personality, because that wasn't my normal trait. But now all of a sudden I needed to be a leader in my own home because I didn't have my husband to be a leader like, say, a normal maybe relationship would have. And then I turned around and ended up being a leader at work because that's what I needed to do in my business life to help my personal life.
Yeah.
So that's, went hand in hand, and my life was built right on circumstances. So every single day, whatever choices I made was built on the circumstance that was going on at the time in my life. Where now I've taken charge of my life, right? And I'm a mom now, and I'm in a new marriage, and I have the support and the encouragement, and all my decisions moving forward since the divorce have been purposeful decisions. Mm-hmm. Right? So being purposeful and is a strong trait also, is make those decisions regarding the purpose that you want, your desired outcome you want. Mm-hmm. And you'll always get success back from those.
So beautifully said. You think about this idea of that, when you say my life was built on circumstances, the decisions I had to make were built on those circumstances. Share more about that, because I just think that's such a beautiful way of saying it. What do you mean when you say that?
Well, I had an amazing career. I really did. I had an amazing 28 years. I did very well for myself, but I probably would not have had that career if it wasn't the circumstances of my life at the time. He was disabled. He wasn't working. We weren't getting any kind of disability because of what he did prior. So there was a lot of circumstances that made me decide that, okay, I need to pick up the pace and work 60, 70 hours a week. If my life was different, then in that sense, then I probably would have had different choices that I could have made. But what I really like to share is that it doesn't matter. I learned now it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. You could still make purposeful decisions. And I didn't realize that at the time. I really didn't. I thought I had to choose and stay where I was for the 28 years because of the circumstance. I thought I needed to stay married for 16 years because I was Catholic and Italian,
right.
And that's what was supposed to happen, right? Until my daughter came along and the circumstance changed my decision that she wasn't going to be raised there. So that's the start of the purposeful decisions started then. The next 10 years of my life from 40 to now has been all purposeful decisions. And it's been amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Oh, I love that idea of purposeful decisions. And so I think that when we feel like life is happening to us, right? Like this, what difference will this make if it doesn't make everything different? That
Correct.
idea that we get stuck in, and it can feel very out of control, almost like we are a victim of our circumstances or we're helpless, right? But that idea of no matter what the circumstances are, that you can still make purposeful decisions, that piece is a very, very empowered piece. And so will you share a little bit more when you're talking about purposeful decisions? Like, what does that mean?
Well, that means is that, you get up every day and it's your life. You make that choice of how you want your day to go. I'm a very big believer in picking a word of the day. What is it going to be? Today, my word was impact, because I wanted to make really purposeful impact on this podcast with my clients that I was working with. That's what I wanted today. So setting your intentions in the morning. And it's the same thing as being a leader when you're running your meetings. Set your intention, how you want this meeting to go, and go in it with an open mind with that word that's going to create that theme for the meeting, which helps you tie back on being a successful leader, because now you have your team joining in with you on that word, because you're sharing it with them. So that's how I make my purposeful decisions. I really think of what my desired outcome is, and then I back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is, when we don't set that intention, or we don't have that purposeful action behind what we want the outcome to be, we leave so much up to chance. And also recognizing that when you or saying, oh, I don't want it to go this way, or I don't want this bad thing to happen, that you're actually setting that intention by putting all the energy into saying, I don't want it to be like this.
Exactly. And that's what it is. Like, someone will be like, oh, this just drives me crazy. Well, you already put that word crazy in your head, right? So we have to come up with words. I mean, words are so powerful. They are so powerful. It sets our mindset. And once we get that mindset word in there, we have to skip our record really hard, right, to get changed. So as we're doing that, I really think it's super important to keep those positive words and in everything, in life and in business. And as I do that, I create this desired outcome. But also, as a great leader, I surround myself with people that are what I call my dream team, right? Those are the people that are going to bring me to the next level. Those are the expansive thinkers. Or in business, those are the people that do things that I don't want to do, right? Yes. Or I don't know how to do, and I'm not going to spend the time to figure it out. So those are other aspects of just being a great leader, knowing what you're good at and knowing what you're not good at.
Yes, absolutely, right? Whether it's in our relationships or our workplaces, that being able to stay in our lane and use our strengths to our advantage is a good thing, rather than, trying to be everything to everybody and falling far short of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I just redid my office here at home, right? It was my husband's office and now it's mine. And I have this beautiful wallpaper. It's all butterflies, because my logo is a butterfly with the sunrise, all about the transformation. And I bought this wallpaper because I really wanted to do it myself. And I figured, you know what? Long story short, I ended up hiring somebody to do it, because it was either 5 hours of my time or an hour of an expert to come in and make it look beautiful. So he was part of my dream team when I designed my office. And I love that. And that's what I always encourage other leaders to do is if you have your team, find out who's good at what. Make sure they're doing what they're dynamite at, and really focus and give them the responsibility on that particular thing, so you don't have to take on that task. And that's another way of nurturing, and another way of a mom, a woman, I'm quoting here,
right.
A woman to be powerful because she is allowing others to feel, okay, I'm just as good in this area. And they're going to have dynamite results by doing that.
Yes. And I think that that's such a pitfall that women can fall into as leaders, is thinking they've got to do it all, right? Rather than creating that dream team and really recognizing, their strengths and what they bring to it. So yeah, I definitely agree that's an important part as a woman leader, to know how to build that team around you so that you're all much more successful.
Absolutely. And it shows. It definitely shows if you incorporate everybody into the success in the team.
Yeah. Have you read the book Simon Sinek? I'm probably butchering his name. Leaders Eat Last.
Yes.
Okay. I haven't. And it's sitting on my bookshelf, and it's one that I keep picking up, and then, a child runs by and needs attention, usually one of mine. And so what are your thoughts on it? I mean, I heard him interviewed about the book and I instantly bought it. I blame my mother for my Amazon book addiction, and I bought it and I want to read it, but you've read it. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I've been breezing through it myself. I'm one of those that I have about 5 different books going on at the same time, right? So, and in order to continue to move forward in my craft, I kind of fill my head with all different things. Anything he writes is amazing, right?
Yes,
So
yes. His Start With Why is so good.
Oh, it's amazing. So what I really started doing is figuring out 6 different things I want to do in the morning. And I give 10 minutes for each area in the morning before I start my day. Okay. So if we do that, then if you take that book and you just give yourself 10 minutes to read it, read as much as you can until you get to your 10-minute mark. It's amazing. 10 minutes for journaling, 10 minutes for meditation, 10 minutes for reading, 10 minutes to do maybe some sit-ups, whatever's good. And that helps build your resilience as you build your day going forward. So he's pretty amazing. So I definitely would give yourself 10 minutes to start that.
Okay, cool. See, now my problem is that once I start a book, and now I have gotten better. If I start a book and it just doesn't resonate with me, I can now not read the whole thing. Okay. But before I couldn't do that. And then my other thing though is I have a hard time reading multiple books at the same time. So it's like I've got this one book that's sitting there that I'm almost done with, but I've kind of lost interest. But I'm like, there's 3 chapters left. Finish the flipping book, And then I'm like, and then I'll start this one. And so that part of me is, I don't know if it's like way too type A or I just get distracted. But I so admire people that can have multiple books going at the same time because I love that idea of it's like this patchwork quilt of inspiring words when you create those multiple books at the same time, or at least that's how I envision when people share about it.
Absolutely. And if you're stuck on that book and it's sitting there, maybe it's not the right time right now to finish that up. So maybe picking up his book will inspire you to finish that book that you're doing now.
Yes, that is true.
You never know. I mean, I was never a big reader because I never really had that extra actual time. So I started that 10-minute thing because it gave me a chance to at least feel like I was getting involved, growing my mental capacity other than just daily activities. So that's why I started that. And it really makes a big difference.
Oh, I love that idea.
Read in bed at night. I fall asleep, I can't do that. So
yeah.
We have to find what works for us.
For sure. Yeah. And I used to be a big, big reader. And then when I went to grad school, there's so much flipping reading. And so you just power through it. You're skimming, you're going back, you're highlighting, you're doing that. And so after grad school and then my licensing exams and studying for all that, I didn't really know how to read for pleasure anymore because I was so used to just power reading that I had to teach myself again how to slow down and really soak the book in because I wasn't used to being able to even do that because Lord knows I didn't read a book during grad school. Like there was no time for that.
There was no time.
Yeah. So that's always been interesting of teaching myself again how to read for pleasure.
Yes, I'm sure it is. It's like redeveloping a new habit, right? That's what you have to do around that. So maybe that 10 minutes of pleasure reading in the morning will get you started on.
I love it. So thinking about, kind of women as leaders, is there, kind of thinking of our audience listening of the initial cringe of like, oh, I don't want to be a woman leader because then I'm going to open myself up for criticism. But the other piece of it is that women are natural leaders. Like you said, they've got that intuition, they've got that resilience, and they've got that great ability to nurture a team and highlight strengths and those sorts of things. Any other things that you could offer to women about being leaders in the roles they're already in? I think that as a mom, as a wife, as a friend, as a business owner, all these hats that I wear, that oftentimes thinking of adding something else to my plate becomes absolutely overwhelming, when really being a leader as a woman is also recognizing the roles that we're already in that naturally have an ability to step into a position of leadership. So what about women that are already in roles and using that energy of a leader within those roles?
Yeah, I think if we just take a step back in the role that you're in and see what that little extra mile that you could do, but not overwhelming yourself, right? So really just stepping back and seeing and using all of the amazing characteristics that we have as women to add to your team and be available to, don't be afraid to give suggestions, and don't be afraid to say, I'll take charge on that particular project, because they'll start seeing what an amazing job that you're doing around that. And one of my biggest things is just being a lady, right? I just think if we could start really showing people that we don't have to look like men or act like men to be in a man's world, right? If we're acting like a lady and we look like a lady, everything else will come with our strength around that, right? So just being powerful in a kind way, I think goes a really long way. I really do. And having that, I keep on going back to the resilient. We have to, because we have to be prepared that as we get stronger, people are going to push back on that. So we have to remember that is their story about us, and that is not our story. Yeah. And we're in charge of creating our own story around that, and having a little, thicker skin around that, a little resilient around that, and staying true and authentic, then there's nothing that will take you back.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I want to touch back what you said too, that as women, we need to look like women leaders, right? Rather than thinking that we need to assimilate to, like you said, this man's world of, well, I have to look like the leader that they are in order to be considered a leader. Rather than what you're saying, and I love that idea, is staying true to who we are. And if our nature is more nurturing, or, more of a soft-spoken power versus an overted power, that is leadership, right? Versus, no, I've got to look like a man doing this in order to be respected. No, look like a woman doing it to be respected, so that we get more women showing up in that leadership role, so that it becomes more commonplace, rather than women, which is a very understandable and real pressure, feeling like I've got to look like a man in order to be respected as a leader.
Absolutely. That it's so true. I mean, I go back quickly to the Mad Men series, right? I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. And it starts back in the late 50s, where the pool secretaries are all lined up and they're getting coffee for their men and stuff. But as the years go on, one of the main characters becomes a partner. Yeah. And it is just amazing to watch her grow in the series at becoming a partner in the firm. And it ends with her actually owning her own business. And I just think that's wonderful. And not once did she lose. I mean, I know this is a show, but not once did she lose being a lady through the whole process. Yeah. And actually, it worked to her benefit to be a woman. Right. And because of the way she used her talents to get there, and her nurturing and her strong personality just brought it all back around. So if we could continue to look at that, I think that will help tremendously with other leaders. Women wanting to be leaders.
I absolutely agree. I listened to a webinar or podcast, it was years ago, but they talked about kind of that solar and lunar energy. And, we call it masculine, feminine, but it's the solar and lunar, right? And that the solar is more of the masculine energy, which we all have. But it's that, if you think of the solar, it's more of that harsh light, that intensity, that drive, right? And then there's the feminine energy, which again, we all have, which is the lunar, which is more of the glow, right? That we attract people in with the glow, with the warmth, versus the direct spotlight. And that really talking about women owning that feminine energy, rather than trying to shy away from it, or feeling like, no, I've got to be more solar, I've got to be more, harsher, more intense in order to be taken seriously. But no, actually being in that lunar energy, that glow that attracts people in, is a natural instinct within women, and embracing that piece, because it is authentic to who we are. And it really comes naturally when we lean into exactly what you're talking about, which is that intuition and that resilience.
Yes, because then we're not competing against them, right? Because we're being who we're meant to be. And we're both leaders. We're just coming at it at a different path. But if we're trying to be more like that, the other side, now we're competing against them. And that's not going to make our path any easier by doing that. If we back up and stay true to ourselves and being authentic, we'll be amazing leaders.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that is the recipe for burnout, right? Shoving ourselves somewhere or in an energy that's not ours, rather than really owning and claiming our energy and having the power within it. We can rise together so much stronger because it's authentic to who we are and we're not burning ourselves out.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, so beautifully said. I love it. I love that you brought that piece up. Anything else that you want to kind of share as we're talking about this topic of not only your personal journey, but also women as leaders and kind of why they rock as leaders?
I know. It's just amazing. We just have, like, going from that 28-year career and becoming my own entrepreneur. It's been an amazing journey, and it's been absolutely wonderful. And I just love every bit of it, and being able to surround myself with all these amazing women, all powerful in their own right. You know, they're all leaders within their own life. And it's been really, really wonderful to step out of the comfort zone and be prepared to really, work hard, but be prepared to have, what's that saying? Work hard, play hard, type of lifestyle. So it's been wonderful. And during this process of journey, I did write my book, and it's all about the self-discovery and
neat.
It helps women get through that process.
So neat. So how can people, get in touch and follow your work? If they're feeling just really inspired by our conversation and want to follow up and connect with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Well, they could pop onto my website, and that's www.powerful-purpose.com. And could click on and join along my email clan and get my inspirational tips daily and my newsletters and my vlogs and different events that I have coming up. Or feel free to email me if you have any questions, and that's at pam@powerful-purpose.com.
Awesome.
You'll find me on Facebook and all those other social media sites.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll be sure and put your website link in the show notes so folks have that easily to be able to click through also. Now, thinking about kind of, wrapping up our conversation a bit, anything else that you want to offer to the listeners, or any other pieces just kind of wisdom or encouragement that you want to offer as we're thinking about them listening to it right now?
Yeah, I definitely want you to take a step back and see if there's somebody in your life that was your hero as a woman, right? And see what similarities you might be having with her, because it will be amazing how much you could learn from that process by really thinking back on who that is. So, like, my hero is my mom. I mean, she was an entrepreneur with 3 kids doing her demonstration shows every night, right? And I never really thought about it until I took a step back and said, who influenced me to be who I am today? And it was her. So it may not be your mom, but it may be somebody else. And you could just continue to go back to that person, and she will definitely help you get to the next level.
Oh, I love that you shared that. And I love that you shared it as look for the similarities rather than look for the places that you want to aspire to be similar. Because that is the truth, right? With the people that we look up to and we admire, we already inherently connect with them because we possess those traits already. And so I love that the comparison is from a place of what you already have in common, and really being able to own that and feel just a connection and a strength within yourself around it.
Yes. And truly just be consistent in everything that you do. That's really a big thing. And there's one quote. Can I share one proverb quote that I absolutely love, and I think it goes along? It's called it's Proverbs 31:25, and she is clothed with strength and dignity and laughs without fear of the future. Now, you could be a Bible reader, or you could be a religious or not, but that quote just Proverbs speaks so close to me on helping women be the best that they absolutely could be, and not allowing the fear to paralyze them along their journey.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Pam, for just taking the time today and slowing down and allowing me to get to know you a little bit better. And I'm just inspired by all that you do, and I'm excited to stay connected.
Me too, Anna. Thank you so much.
I am so excited that I got to share that interview with Pam. Her energy is just something that absolutely radiates through listening to her. And it's something that I'm just so inspired by because she clearly has a passion with connecting with women and also allowing them to step into their natural leadership through the intuition and through recognizing that women are so resilient and that they have this great ability to nurture. And that really is just a dynamic leader. It's so interesting when you think about women and resiliency. It is so relevant in our current political and social times, looking at how women continue to rise up, right? To not sit back and be told where their place is or what they should be doing, but really having a voice behind what is right and what they believe in. And that resiliency is something that I think at times we can be overwhelmed by, that expectation to continue to rise up when we are being told something that is so different from our value system. And I also think that it's a place too that we use our sisters, right, our fellow women, to be able to recognize that resiliency as a strength rather than a burden. And I just love that Pam took the time to highlight that. She shares so much about her incredible journey and that so much of her life was built on the circumstances and the decisions that she had to make within those circumstances. And that now she's in a phase of her life where she's really taking control of her life and having, powerful purpose behind the decisions that she makes. And I just so connected with that. I know there are times in my life where it has felt like the circumstances around me are dictating the decisions I make. And that is, no way to live. Right? And so just this idea of how do we wake up each day with putting powerful purpose into our decisions and recognizing that that's something that is within us no matter what the circumstances are around us really, really stood out for me. So I'm glad that Pam took the time to highlight that and speak about it because it really, really just made a deep impact when she shared about it. So I'm just excited that I got to connect with her and introduce you guys to Pam. And I will include her website in the show notes so that you guys can connect with her and her work. And I really want to encourage you to follow the exercise that she shared at the very end of the episode, talking about, looking around at the women around you and those who inspire you and those who you look up to and admire, and really connecting with the traits within them that you also have as a way to recognize your strengths. I love that exercise. I think so often we are told to look at others as a way of aspiring to be what they are, and that can in turn create a level of competition or can make us feel very inferior. And so I love that Pam's exercise was about look at the similarities that exist right now in this moment and rejoice those, celebrate those, because all of us as women have natural leadership within us, right? And no matter what role you are in, whether you are CEO of your house or CEO of a future Fortune 500 company, you are in a role right now that demands leadership. And that is one that can be very, very frightening to us, but it can also be one that can be very, very empowering. And so I'm so excited that I had Pam on, especially for this series about why women rock, especially women leaders, and just being able to encourage you, all of you listening to today, no matter what role you are in, use that role as one of divine leadership and allow that feminine energy to come in and be resilient and powerful in that role. So thank you so much for connecting today. Please do send in your feedback via the SpeakPipe app and also to Anna at herlifeunscripted.com. I love to hear your guys' feedback. And if you have somebody who is just amazing in your life that you have met and you would love for them to be interviewed for the show, send that to me. I would love to get to meet them. And if you are the person that would like to be interviewed for the show, send me an email. I would love for you to have an even louder voice within our collective voice within Her Life Unscripted. So thank you so much for letting me into your world, into your hearts. I can't wait to connect soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Want to learn about the latest retreats, workshops, and speaking events hosted by Anna? Head over to herlifeunscripted.com to get in on all the juicy details. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast so we can continue to grow our amazing audience. Lastly, be sure and send in your voice feedback via the SpeakPipe app or to Anna at herlifeunscripted.com. We can't wait to hear from you.